vote-buying scheme left Wisconsinites of all stripes angry and deeply concerned for our system of democracy. In a quickly deleted video, an exalted recipient exclaimed, "I did exactly what Elon Musk told everyone to do. Sign a petition, refer friends and family, vote, and now I have $1 million." Let's be clear, election bribery is already illegal in Wisconsin. However, Elon Musk attempted to circumvent this law by paying people to sign a petition instead, something currently not explicitly banned in current law. The legislation that we are introducing today would expand our election bribery laws by defining payments offered in exchange for signing petitions supporting or opposing a candidate referendum or proposition about political, social issues, state law, or proposed or potential legislation, if the petition is related to an election referendum or is circulated during the election period as defined in the bill. It doesn't matter if you are a billionaire or someone struggling to make ends meet. Your vote is supposed to count the same as everyone else's. Your vote has value precisely because it cannot be bought or sold. It should go without saying how corrosive it is to the basic idea of democracy if the world's richest man can use unseemly carrot and stick tactics to blatantly pay people to vote, let alone doing it grinning on a stage in front of thousands of people while handing out big checks. If elections simply become a matter of which billionaire can bribe more people to vote or even knock more doors, then democracy loses its meaning. Candidates and issue groups should use the strength of their message to attract voters to their cause, not cash bribes or promises of financial reward. It is a gross perversion of our democracy and must not be allowed to continue in future elections. Failing to act is tacit acceptance that our votes are for sale. Republicans and Democrats alike decry money and influence in our elections. Rejecting this premise is something members of both parties should be able to agree on. We are very hopeful that the Petition Payment Prohibition Act will see widespread support as well as we all seek to remove undue influence and preserve our American democracy. And now I'm going to hand it off to Sam Liebert from All Voting is Local.
Do you want to put the mic up here? Yeah, I can put my mic. One second. I'm sorry, everyone. I suck.
You're okay.
That's good. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Are you good to go?
Good.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Liebert, and I'm the proud state director for All Voting is Local Action here in Wisconsin. We are proud to stand here today alongside Representative Snodgrass and Representative Rivera-Wagner, champions who are committed to protecting the trust of our elections and the voice of every voter in Wisconsin. At All Voting is Local Action, we believe that our democracy works best when every voter can participate freely without coercion, intimidation, or interference. That's exactly what this bill seeks to protect. The simple but powerful right of every Wisconsinite to decide for themselves whether to sign or not to sign a petition during an election season without being bribed or pressured to do so. This legislation sends a clear message. Votes and the steps that lead to voting, including petition signing, are not for sale. Voter engagement should be based on ideas and community conversations, not cash incentives or unethical tactics, which we've seen in the most recent Wisconsin election. Sorry, I'm old school with my paper. At All Voting is Local Action, our mission is to remove barriers to the ballot box, especially for voters from our marginalized communities who have historically faced exclusion from our democratic processes. But efforts to buy signatures or manipulate the petition process undermine the trust in our elections and distort the authentic voices of Badgers here in Wisconsin. This bill complements our mission by ensuring transparency, fairness, and accountability in voter engagement efforts. We at All Voting is Local, we are incredibly grateful to Representatives Rivera-Wagner and Snodgrass as well as the authors on the Senate side for their leadership on this issue. And we look forward to working together with lawmakers, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. This is not a right or left issue. This is a right or wrong issue. And we also look to engage advocates, community members to help protect our freedom to vote and to ensure that every voice in Wisconsin is heard and respected. And with that, I'll hand it over to the wonderful Green Bay representative.
Good morning, everyone, on this beautiful, nearly 40-degree day, spring day in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Green Bay is no stranger to the accusations of bribery. In 2020, when there were long lines for early vote, we were accused of bribery by random volunteers bringing water to people waiting in lines. In 2022, we were accused of taking bribes as a city from Mark Zuckerberg. And there was a $2.5 million investigation claiming that individuals at the city of Green Bay, including myself, had taken bribes even though there was public funding for over 200 municipalities. And this was all given by, often at that time, right-wing controlled legislature. Just last year in our spring election, there was a group that was giving out free food and water and rides to the polls and was asked to cease and desist for the perception that there would be bribery. And so they actually canceled their event because they were concerned that they would be accused or charged with bribery. This was also given by the local Republican Party. So to me, this is a bipartisan issue that when we have a billionaire coming into Green Bay, offering people at one level $1 million, but at a small level $100 to sign a petition right outside of the DMV in Ashwaubenon, we need to make sure that that's illegal. We already know that this is not legal in Wisconsin, but we want to make sure that the language is precise and clear, because the truth is, before this year, we've never really had a billionaire try to buy an election. One of the things we love about Green Bay is that we take care of each other in this community. We make sure that our neighbors can thrive. Our elections are run by our friends, our neighbors, our family, our poll workers, our city officials, and we believe in them and we trust them. What we cannot do to undermine our local democracy is somehow pay people to participate in elections. This bill is a nonpartisan bill that just says something simple, that you should not be paid during election period to sign a petition around an election. This is something that should not have a partisan lens. This is something that we can all agree on. Just as we were prepping for this press conference, a person walked by and asked what we were doing. And I said, we want to make sure it's illegal to pay people to sign election petitions. He said, hell yeah. This is the general sentiment across Wisconsin, across Green Bay, is that we should have an even playing field and billionaires should not be able to buy elections. So I'm very proud to be introducing this with Rep. Sondergrass. I'm excited to have nonpartisan organizations like All Voting is Local, and I look forward to get bipartisan support for this legislation. We're open for questions now.
Right now, you talked about having, do we have bipartisan support? Are you seeing that talking with your colleagues on the other side of the aisle?
Do you want to go first or me first?
There is some trepidation. Obviously, things are still kind of mired in the results of the last election. But when you do ask them specifically, do you think elections should involve bribery, they emphatically say no. So I'm hoping that we can get to a place where we can actually have support and see this get a hearing. Let's discuss this at a committee hearing and make sure that we are doing what Wisconsinites have asked us to do.
And when I talk to folks in the district here in Green Bay, across the political aisle, people who participate frequently or infrequently, it's just bipartisan support. They don't even think it should be partisan. So when I hear it from actual residents in our community, they're like, no one should be able to bribe someone to be able to participate in an election. Democracy is not something you pay for, it's something that you do. It's a public service. And so I see in the communities that we talk to, lots of broad support.
Ahmad, I'm glad you did bring up that constitutional amendment that was passed last year to ban private funds to help administer elections. But say that amendment wasn't brought forth and was not voted on by voters to be passed. Would we be here today talking about the measure you guys are introducing?
That's a great question. So as you know, many municipalities had already wanted to work towards this, to ban private funding of elections. And the truth is, one of the reasons why there needed to be funding for elections is the state legislature, which I'm now a part of, had never provided any funds for updating machinery and tools for those elections. So that amendment passed. As you know, it was folks wanted a passionate, they thought it was a form of bribery, and changed the Constitution to ensure that private grants could not be used in local elections because they believed it was bribery. At the time, that was not considered illegal. It's still not considered illegal, but now it is banned. To me, this should be the runway for Republicans and others that supported that amendment to support this bill, which is to make sure that actual money given directly to people, specifically for the notion of voting, should be illegal. So this is not an idea. I would argue that the constitutional amendment was trying to find a problem that didn't exist, but it is here. This is an actual problem that we all seen and saw on election day and before, where people were getting paid to participate in elections. And so I'm glad that we have that amendment. It's a great precedent for us to get support from the entire political spectrum for this bill.
I'll just add that, that amendment was about prohibiting private funding. But the fact of the matter is municipalities require funding in order to, adequately administer elections. Those include things from badger books to staff, et cetera. If the state is not going to make a budget investment in giving municipalities dollars to make sure that they have what they need to administer elections, then we're kind of stuck now with that constitutional amendment. I don't really see this bill as directly related. I do see this bill as further efforts to make sure that when people are showing up to vote or are dealing with petitions and things, they're not being monetarily incentivized to support one candidate or another. Those are private decisions that voters should make on their own without the undue influence of billionaires.
So you guys mentioned that election bribery is already illegal in Wisconsin, and this bill kind of tightens up the language. I guess, have you had any discussions with the Wisconsin DOJ or I know they filed that lawsuit, the Supreme Court kind of turned it down, but I guess, are they investigating just kind of what went on the last week?
Our discussions with DOJ are to make sure just really that this bill is legal, that this is something that we can indeed do. Regarding the court case, I don't really have any comment or insight on that. You're very right. I will underline that election bribery is illegal in Wisconsin. What this does is creates a specific carve-out related to petitions. There's some confusion around that. We to avoid First Amendment rights, we have that in the time frame of around elections. And we did our due diligence to make sure that we weren't going to accidentally catch up people who might be tabling at an event, a young Democrats, a young Republicans handing out a candy bar. That's not going to get wrapped up in this. What we're talking about is somebody coming into our community with billions of dollars saying, hey, I'm going to pay you to sign this, and then I'm going to give you a big check at the end of it.
And just to add emphasis that I was one of many people who've called for the AG to investigate. We're going to obviously allow that legal process to work its way through the courts. While the initial part was not held up, there's still a legal process that we're going to allow that to happen. This bill really is to make sure that there is clear and specific language, so there is no confusion. As we know, this was already illegal, but oftentimes with policy, we have to be at a level of specificity so that we're not playing politics with something that's very simple. The idea that you should be able to not be able to pay someone to participate in elections should have been illegal, and it was illegal, but just to make sure our language reflects the 21st century, this bill makes it crystal clear that billionaires cannot buy votes and cannot buy Green Bay and cannot buy Wisconsin.
Any further questions? All right.
The efforts to limit the campaign ads. So I know both swing state.
Just to the south of us today in Madison, there'll be a press conference, a resolution to overturn Citizens United. So, obviously this is top of mind for everybody. Nobody wants money in politics, whether it's petitions, whether it's billions of dollars spent in ads from outside groups. We're all trying to get there. Let's hope that we can get Republicans and Democrats agreeing on this issue. It's pretty simple when you look at it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Just be careful.
Thank you.
I'll hold it.